Now on Channel 3 News.
Severe weather in northwest Florida, what you need to know to stay safe tonight into tomorrow morning. The redacted version of the full Mueller report is now in the hands of Congress and the public. Now you can read the whole thing for yourself. Plus, Gulf Breeze police cracking down on cigarette butt tossers, how they're trying to keep the roads clean.
You're watching Northwest Florida's news station. This is Channel 3 News at 9 on WFGX in high definition.
Good evening. A lot to get to tonight. We're in the middle of severe weather in northwest Florida. Our chief meteorologist, Alan Strum, is following this very closely and joins us right now with the latest. Alan, what are you seeing?
Hey, Chorus, good evening. Watching a line of thunderstorms that's now hitting northwest Florida has a potential for damaging winds. That's going to be the main threat. Here it is on some of our radar imagery as you take a look. It's rolling right on through areas around Pensacola on up into northern Santa Rosa County. This is shifting toward the east, and it's also got a line that's chasing it, too, back into areas of Mississippi. You can see this line. We'll be watching that over the next few hours to see if that does thicken up and develop a little bit farther on down toward the coast. But we do have some alerts to tell you about and an update to some of those. Some of the areas in Mississippi and Alabama have been canceled from the particular tornado watch that we've got over the area, but it's a yellow highlighted zone that's under that tornado watch. And you can see it does include Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, and Escambia counties here in both Alabama and northwest Florida. So this line, a pretty good line that's been moving across the area. We dropped out a little bit of radar data missing there. As you can see, we've had some of the issues with the local radars, but it is a pretty good line. It's got a lot of thunder and lightning with it too. You'll see these flashes and you'll hear some of this thunder as you check that out. As we look at it three-dimensionally, the taller the storm generally, the stronger it is. And we've got a severe thunderstorm warning, which means we could see some damaging winds from this storm as it does move across areas of northwest Florida. So again, the tornado watch now late tonight, including these areas highlighted in yellow: Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Escambia counties in Alabama and Florida, Baldwin and Mobile counties still included in that. And then the warning that we have is this zone right here. That's going to be for about another 15 minutes. That's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:15 for all these places highlighted. We've got Milton in there, Pensacola, Cantonment, on up toward Jay, down toward Perdido Key. Those areas, part of Baldwin County included as well. So that's where we could see some damaging winds until about 9:15, and we're likely to see another warning issued for the line for other parts of northwest Florida, and we'll have that for you coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Alan. The Channel 3 weather team is working overtime to keep you informed on the storm. Stick with us on air and online for important updates. We'll check back in with Alan shortly. New tonight, Escambia County deputies are looking into shots fired this evening in Escambia County. They responded to reports of shots fired at a vehicle at Fairfield Drive and Usher Circle around 7 tonight. The sheriff's office says deputies didn't find the alleged shooter or vehicle involved, but did find shell casings. No injuries have been reported. Deputies are looking for whoever fired those shots as we speak tonight. Special counsel Robert Mueller's partially redacted report into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential campaign is in the hands of Congress and the American public. But while the investigation may be over, the nearly 450-page report is creating more questions for some. Kristen Holmes has more.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's partially redacted report noting the Trump campaign showed interest in emails stolen from Democrats by Russians meant to hurt Hillary Clinton, but found no evidence of a crime.
The Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
On the question of obstruction of justice, Mueller is less clear. His report identifying 10 instances where the president or his aides may have attempted to curtail the investigation, including firing former FBI Director James Comey.
The evidence developed by the special counsel is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense.
Just moments after the report's release, Trump claimed a victory.
No collusion, no obstruction.
Democrats disagree.
Whether these contacts were sufficiently illicit or not to rise the level of a criminal conspiracy, they are unquestionably dishonest, unethical, immoral, and unpatriotic and should be condemned by every American.
Congressional Democrats want more answers and demand the full unredacted report.
The special counsel made clear that he did not exonerate the president, and the responsibility now falls to Congress to hold the president accountable for his actions.
In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes reporting.
Barnes & Noble will offer the Mueller report for free as an e-book. The redacted version of the special counsel's report is available on Nook devices today. Customers can pre-order the report through the device. Those who don't have a Nook tablet can get the free download through the Nook Reading app, which is available on both iOS and Android devices. A print version will be available for sale at Barnes & Noble stores the week of April 29th. A man was seriously hurt when he was hit by a car while he was biking in Okaloosa County. Florida Highway Patrol says David Archer was hit around 2 this afternoon on Highway 90 near Antioch Road. They say a car hit him from behind and kept going. Archer was taken to the Fort Walton Beach Medical Center with serious injuries. FHP is looking for the driver of that vehicle. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 850-863-8477. The state of Florida will seek the death penalty for a man charged in his child's death. Earlier this month, Frederick Franken Sr. was indicted by a grand jury. He's accused of stabbing his 3-year-old son, Frederick Jr., to death in Blue Water Bay. Franken Sr. is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. He's currently being held in the Okaloosa County Jail without bond. A man convicted of attempting to murder 3 Escambia County deputies has been sentenced. Demetric Carter was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences. In 2017, Carter entered Warrington Bank on Barrancas Avenue. He told the teller to call police and for them to meet him behind the bank. When deputies arrived, Carter had a firearm in his pocket. Deputies ordered Carter to get on the ground. When he didn't comply, he was stunned. That's when he fired several shots at the deputies, who returned fire. New at 9, the Gulf Breeze Police Department cracking down on litterbugs, specifically those tossing cigarette butts out of their cars. Channel 3's Daniela Ponar explains the problem.
It's not an uncommon sight.
The ground is just littered with them.
Cigarette butts littering up and down the road. Not only are they unsightly and bad for the environment, but Gulf Breeze Police Chief Richard Hawthorne says they're sparking major safety concerns.
In the past 2 months, we've had 13 fires in the medians.
Now they're cracking down.
We are going to be looking to be a lot more mindful of it and a little more vigilant than we have in the past, just because of the issues that have been happening.
Jackie Price lives in Gulf Breeze.
I was driving to work one day down the highway and I passed a fire on the roadside, and I'm sure it was probably started by someone flicking a lighted cigarette out the car window.
She's happy to hear the police department is working to prevent this.
I have a convertible. Suppose it goes in my car seat. You know, I mean, they're like, nothing should be thrown from a vehicle, let alone a lighted cigarette.
Hawthorne says the thoughtless decision creates a number of problems.
It's a traffic issue because when the fire's going, you have people watching the fire.
Sometimes the police department can't put out the fire.
If it gets too big, the fire truck has to respond. There is only one area for them to park, and that's in the middle of the road.
Hawthorne says this is a waste of time and manpower.
Find something. I mean, a Coke can, a water bottle. You got to have something you can just, dispose of your cigarettes and then throw them in the garbage like, a regular person would.
In Gulf Breeze, Danielle Polnar, Channel 3 News.
If you're caught flicking a cigarette butt out of your car, Florida state statutes say it could lead to an arrest or a $100 fine. Hawthorne says officers will focus on busy intersections and roadways. The city of Gulf Breeze says the motto to remember is flick it and get a ticket. Don't go away. Coming up, the legalization of hemp is one step closer to becoming a reality in Florida. How the Department of Agriculture is already preparing, and why North Korean officials say they don't want to work with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo anymore. That's next.
First Warning Weather, sponsored by Pensacola State College. Channel 3 First Warning WeatherNet is sponsored by Peden Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical. Here is Chief Meteorologist Alan Strom.
Rainy weather hitting areas around town with this storm line moving through, but fortunately it's starting to look a bit weaker. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect that's in effect for a few more minutes, but maybe we won't see one since this storm line seems to be falling apart somewhat. As you look at it back toward the west, you see more of the deep colors, those red and orange, yellow colors, and then as it continues to move toward the east, it just doesn't look as strong. So we're seeing a few changes with it, though the alert does continue. That is a tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. overnight. Probably not going to see that change, though, until this storm line does completely move out of the area. So here it is as you look at it in motion, basically looking back toward the west. We've got another line that's chasing this one that's been moving through. And you can see this now on the other side here on this side of Interstate 59 in Mississippi. Some heavy rain with that one. That one actually looks a little more solid than the one that we've been worried about all night that seems to be falling apart here over northwest Florida. As we take a look three-dimensionally, you can see as we come down to the surface, a lot of lightning strikes, but not as many as we were seeing earlier on when it was moving through Alabama. I mean, this was just filled up with these little lightning bolts. We're still seeing those strikes, and you're going to hear the thunder and see the lightning. Here it is around the Pensacola area. This is Gulf Breeze. It's getting pretty close to that area. Santa Rosa Island out here. So as that continues to move east, those areas will get some of this rainy weather. Here's another view of it too. You can see up in northern Santa Rosa County some of the showers. That's that area around Pensacola out toward Perdido Key. We've got some heavy rain and out over the Gulf as well. So again, the tornado watch includes these areas right here. That's in effect until 11 o'clock tonight, all the yellow areas. We've got Baldwin, Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties within that. Haven't seen anything yet pop for this county, being Walton County, Florida. We'll see if that changes. A warning to tell you about, though, the severe thunderstorm warning is continuing for just a few more minutes here across these areas highlighted in this orangish color. That includes Santa Rosa, Escambia, and Baldwin counties, also up into Escambia County, Alabama. That's a severe thunderstorm warning where that line is, the main threat being damaging winds with that. We've got a wind advisory, too, that continues into the overnight hours as some very windy weather has been blowing across the area today, and that's been our main threat too. Wind damage from the individual thunderstorms. Haven't seen any tornado reports locally, but this same system did produce some tornadoes elsewhere across other parts of the south and back toward the west. Hail, flooding, not really going to be too much of a concern. So 100% on rain. We're seeing the rain for tonight as we head into the day tomorrow. There's a chance that a little shower follows, but we're not expecting really any bad weather tomorrow. It's just tonight and overnight that we may see some of these strong storms work their way through the area. And it's a pretty good blow up as you look at it on this water vapor imagery. You can see those storms just blowing up ahead of these fronts. And then this colder air is going to slide in place behind the system. That'll be moving in during the day tomorrow, and you'll start to feel that. It's warm and humid now ahead of it all, but we're going to see this cooler air move in once that front passes. All right, Safe Shores Report. This has actually been one of our big risks today, the dangerous surf. Red flags, when they're flying, that means that the water is closed to swimming. We always pass that along. And actually, our #1 weather killer here on the northern Gulf Coast, dangerous rip currents. That's what gets people the most. And as we take a look from earlier today, you can see how things are looking from our camera. That's the Hardee's Beach Cam. It's on top of South Harbor condos. That may have been before Pensacola Beach posted the red flags. They had yellow flags much of the day. You can see some people wading and swimming, but eventually they did move over toward a red flag today, and I know a bunch of other beaches were going basically with the red flag all day. So look for dangerous rip currents to continue into tomorrow, and very rough seas too. Winds will be shifting around once the front passes. We'll end up with a northwest wind. It's going to be blowing pretty hard too. I mean, it's going to be windy weather blowing not only over the water but over land too. Seas are going to be rough. Small craft advisory for that as you check out the marine forecast. So another windy one tomorrow with potentially a shower, some cloud cover, maybe some sunshine, highs upper 60s, so a totally different day tomorrow. Weekend looks gorgeous, cold overnight low temperatures, pleasant daytime highs, 70 Saturday, 75 Sunday, all dry, and so far next week looks pretty calm. We'll watch out for Thursday.
From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis. Reuters is reporting that anti-terrorism police have thwarted a planned attack in Seville, Spain. A Spanish website claims the man was planning to target Easter celebrations, but police have not publicly shared any details about the alleged plot. However, Reuters says police disclosed that the Interior Ministry recently decided to beef up security for events that include Easter parades and the upcoming national election. A man convicted of terrorism for repeatedly stabbing an airport police officer in Michigan in 2017 has been sentenced to life in prison. According to the Associated Press, Amour Fatoui, a native of Tunisia but who lived in Canada at the time, told a judge before he was sentenced he had no regrets and that he wished he had a machine gun so he could have killed the officer and others at the airport. Instagram and Facebook are removing pages and accounts associated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard in Iran, according to CNN. It comes after the U.S. designated it as a terrorist organization. Iran's Minister of Communications took to Twitter to respond by quoting Game of Thrones and using the hashtag The Region Remembers. From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis.
Welcome back. Hemp cultivation could be a multi-billion-dollar industry in Florida, but first lawmakers have to legalize the plant in the state. As Jake Stofan tells us tonight, legislation that would do just that passed its final House committee this morning. It's now ready for final votes in both chambers.
Florida is now one step closer to seeing the full legalization of hemp and its byproducts like CBD.
This bill will provide jobs and commerce for our state.
Sponsor of the House's bill, Representative Ralph Masulu, a practicing doctor, says the bill aims to ensure quality and safety of the products.
And we want people to know when they're buying something, they're going to get what they're basically being sold.
Products like CBD are already being sold in the state at the current moment, but they're stuck in a legal gray area. Jeff Sharkey with the Florida Hemp Industries Association says if the bill becomes law, it will allow businesses, some of which have been raided by police, to breathe a sigh of relief.
It's legal at the federal level, but we still have this little problem with the Florida Criminal Code that this bill fixes.
The Department of Agriculture will play a major part in rolling out the state's proposed hemp program, and Commissioner of Agriculture Nikki Fried says they've already started preparing.
We have so many of our farmers who are itching to get their seeds in the ground.
Commissioner Fried says it's important to get the program up and running as soon as possible because hemp is likely to become a supplemental crop for Florida farmers, a possible saving grace for those in the Panhandle who suffered heavy losses after Hurricane Michael.
We want everybody who wants to be involved with the hemp program to have access to it, so there won't be the barriers like we saw in the medical marijuana world. This is going to be an opportunity for everybody.
Fried says if all goes smoothly, the goal is to have the first hemp plants in the ground by the end of 2019. In Tallahassee, Jake Stofan, Channel 3 News.
North Korean officials say they don't want to work with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. North Korea's state news agency says the country wants to work with someone, quote, more careful and mature. This comes a day after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw a new tactical guided weapons firing test. They did not specify what type of weapon was tested. Stay with us. We have our top sports stories when we come back, and we'll continue following that severe weather. Next.
Boo Weekley won his first PGA Tour title at Hilton Head and his second, and back-to-back in 2007 and 2008, which seems like a lifetime ago. He's been through a lot since then, not the least of which was a recent battle with cancer. But Boo back at Hilton Head this week, back on the PGA Tour at least for a week. Played pretty well 3 weeks ago on the Web.com Tour with a top 10 finish and looking good there at 16. Boo was 1 under at that point. He had that putt for birdie to get to 2 under par, parred 17 and 18. And Boo Weekley is in with a 69. That is 2 under par, and he is 4 strokes off the lead. Shane Lowry has the lead at -6, a whole bunch of golfers at -5. And Weekley opens with a 69. The Blue Wahoos not clinching their 3rd straight series to start the season tonight. They were rained out this evening in Biloxi. The Shuckers and the Wahoos will wrap up the series with a doubleheader tomorrow. 2 7-inning games starting at 5:30 in Biloxi. And the Wahoos have taken 2 of the first 3 games in the series. After wrapping up the series in Biloxi Friday night, the Wahoos come home Saturday to open a 5-game homestand against the Mobile Bay Bears. The Braves have had a hard time getting through the late innings. Their bullpen has been a mess, and closer Aroldis Vizcaíno just had season-ending shoulder surgery. So they're looking for an early start. Maybe that'll change their luck. An early start against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Braves trailed 1-0 in the 5th inning, but Mike Soroka worked out of a bases-loaded jam. Still 1-0 in the 6th. Dan Winkler on the mound and gets some defensive help from Ender Inciarte coming on and keeping it a 1-0 game with a diving catch. Top of the 7th inning, it's Chad Sabatka on as they still work their way through the bullpen. Christian Walker, nobody's catching that one. A 2-run home run. He's hit 6 home runs on the year, all of them in the 7th inning or later. Made it a 3-0 ball game. An error kept the inning alive. Nick Ahmed with a base hit, a double into the corner. Made it 4-0, and Arizona sweeps the Braves. 4-1 the final. UWF men's basketball coach Jeff Berkhammer was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame at Santa Fe College in Gainesville. Berkhammer coached at Santa Fe for 4 years. In the mid-90s, the Saints went 97 and 31 under his tutelage. Burr Cameron was the National JUCO Coach of the Year, 95-96. Congratulations, Jeff. And we'll see you tonight at 10.
Thank you for watching WFGX News at 9. For continuing coverage on our severe weather, join us on Channel 3 News at 10.